So a lot of CEOs and CIOs are starting to wonder, we've spent all this money on the greatest virtualization and cloud infrastructure. It still takes forever to get applications into production, so business outcomes are suffering. And it's still a huge mess keeping applications up to date once they're out there. It's a constant cycle of pain in IT to keep applications running. And people are wondering, I thought cloud was supposed to fix this. I thought virtualization was supposed to fix this. Why is it still so hard to get applications into production? And why is IT still a bottleneck for my business? So I want to dig in a little bit as to why it's still a problem even with this new technology. And to do that, we need to go back in time a little bit and look at how complex applications used to be built before virtualization came along. It's 1997, I want to go build a complicated database 3-tier application. What would I actually do to build that? Well, obviously I'm going to need a server somewhere. So I'm going to go get, and that needs somebody to go build that for me, obviously. I need somebody on the server team to go rack and stack it. And of course, it needs some network and storage infrastructure under it as well. And those have their own dedicated teams. So I've got my. And if we look at this from a timing point of view, it's kind of hard to do this all at the same time. So, from a starting point, we're going to go rack and stack the server. We're going to go set up the network. So what was next? Well, somebody had to install an OS and some patches to get it secure, because the OS is typically insecure from day one. So we need some OS experts to take care of that for us. We got the OS team. We need a database. We need an application server. So that's typically 2 more teams involved here. So back down here on our timeline, what do? We got the OS installed. We've got patches. We've got a couple different middleware stacks installed. And this is an entirely linear process. And now we're finally ready to deploy an application on top of this thing. So we'll add an app, which is coming from the application deployment team. And then finally, I said it's a multi-tier application. It's not just one server. So we're going to do all this in parallel, build a couple more servers out there for doing different tiers of the application, and somebody has to tie them all together, typically somebody on the application team doing this. That's how we built systems before virtualization came along. So nowadays, I don't rack and stack a server for every application. I don't have to go through a big procurement process to get the network gear I need for an application. It's all out there in my private cloud. It's out there on my public cloud service provider. It's elastic. It's fantastic. So I can chop out a huge chunk of this timeline, right? I can provision my storage in a few minutes and my network in a few minutes and stand up a new VM in a few minutes. It takes no time flat to get all my infrastructure built, which is fantastic. But most enterprises we talk to are still deploying the operating system, patches, middleware, in their application. They're still doing all these things the old-fashioned way. They are still passing around tickets. They're still taking turns with the system. They're still slowly building things up from scratch, which means that it still takes all this time to get a system built, despite the nice virtual infrastructure we have, saving time at the front end. And why does this take so long? It's because there's a bunch of problems in the old way that, because we're still doing it that way, are still problems. One fundamental problem is that all these changes are manual. Manual changes are error prone, they take forever, they don't always happen exactly the same way. So that adds testing time at the end when we actually want to go live to make sure that the systems are actually working. There's also the problem of handoffs. So every time we do a handoff from one team to another, not only is there a delay, but there's an opportunity for drift. When I go install Oracle on a system, if I see some patch I need, I'm probably just going to go add that patch myself, which means this OS stack is no longer what the OS team expected. And that adds even more time over here to go live, because we got to shake down the system to make sure it actually works. So all these problems add up in the old physical world, and they're still here in the modern virtualized world. It's why applications still take forever to deploy. infrastructure is no longer the bottleneck, but IT is still the bottleneck because it takes so long to get applications into production. What everyone wants, this is what IT wants to stop being a bottleneck, is for infrastructure and applications to get the same level of automation, to take roughly the same amount of time to get in production. Just imagine how your business would run if delivering new applications into production was just as fast as the new cloud and virtual infrastructure you have is for the infrastructure side. A cloud that can do that is what we call an application cloud, and that is the fundamental business problem that our path is addressing. We are helping people through our technology partners and through our service provider partners to turn infrastructure clouds, which only solve the infrastructure problem, into application clouds that solve the whole problem. And that's what it takes to make IT stop being a bottleneck for the business.